As an entrepreneur, you know it is tough out there when you're trying to get business and you're trying to learn, and then technology comes along and it displaces what you've done before. What do? How do you adapt? Well, in this episode, we've got a treat for you. We're going to be talking about what they did with the Pony Express and how that can help you, the lessons that they learned in the Pony Express, how that can help you as an entrepreneur today. And so that you'll be able to take those lessons and apply them and succeed. All of that and more in this episode of Agorapreneurs.
Welcome to Agorapreneurs, standing for liberty and freedom, all done peacefully. Now, here is your guide, Terry Brock.
Hi, I'm Terry Brock, your guide here on this journey as an entrepreneur to live life in the Agorapreneur style. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, it comes from entrepreneur. You know, the preneur part of that is entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur since I was in second grade, getting out and doing something and working hard. And so I know you can probably relate to that as well. Many of you can. And the agora part, it comes from the Greek word agora, which stood for open places, and the idea of living life freely and peacefully, voluntarily. That's a key term in this, that you live life voluntarily and you are there interacting with others, not initiating force and coercion. So that's what we talk about here. And in this episode, we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can use this, how you can work with that in many different ways. And if you want to find out more about it, you can bounce over to our YouTube channel there, bit.ly/libertylover, you know, the bit.ly/libertylover will help you to get through that. And also, we want to let you know another way that you can get ahead is by working with our sponsor, getting their product, Restream. Restream gives you the ability to take your information and send it out to multiple platforms at the same time. So I can be on Facebook, I can be on several different groups in Facebook, my personal profile can be on a page, can also be on YouTube and LinkedIn, get approved to be on LinkedIn, Twitter, and many others, up to 30 destinations all at the same time, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. Got some real possibilities there that you want to look into. But what we're going to talk about this week is how you can learn from what they did with the Pony Express. We know that they did a lot because I think we can learn a whole lot when we get back into where we are. We know that learning is critical. And learning gives us the ability to get a lot done. It gives us the ability to do it when we're going to classes, when we go to those training sessions and we learn, well, like this, here's one in person. We're doing more virtual right now, but you can still do these. And by learning and continuing to feed your mind, you are able to get ahead. But we can also learn from historical examples on how we can adapt. In the midst of a world that is changing very rapidly, it can be tough because sometimes you get a technology and you learn it and you go, hey, this is good, and then all of a sudden they change it. Well, let's look at what they did before and how things work. Well, they had a problem back in the 1850s, and that problem was that the United States, which looked kind of like this, consisted of mostly the people in the East, most of the people there, but there was a few moving out to this newfangled place called California. Hey, it had some real good possibilities, but the only way to get there would be either going all the way across the land, which was very difficult, took a long time to get there, or going over the mountains and all those kind of things, or they'd have to go all the way down on the Atlantic Ocean around South America, the very tip down there, and then come back up. Well, that took 2 to 3 months to get there, sometimes depending on what the weather was like and mutinies and all kinds of things. And so they decided they could do something a little different. Engineers and entrepreneurs came up with an idea that's pretty innovative. And what it is it started, let me make this a little bit smaller, over here, St. Joe, Missouri. Right down there, St. Joe, Missouri. And what they would do is they would have these riders. They had the idea they could get horseback riders who were going to go really, really fast for that day. And they would go up and over the mountains and then come back down here, coming across some territory that was kind of dangerous, and they would end up right here, San Francisco. And so, in Sacramento. They'd end up in Sacramento. And by doing that, then what they were able to do is they were able to get it across, and it did it in pretty amazing time. Matter of fact, for them, look at this. Here's one of the ads that they had for that. Let me give that to you on the full screen. That they would do this in 10 days to San Francisco. So I went to San Francisco there. They knew they could get it in there and into Sacramento as well. So they would do in both of those. And by doing that, they were able to do something that really was a demand in the marketplace. So they could then, as I get a little bit larger here, they could then get out there and they could start moving around and they would get the mail going. Now, the mail that they had were just the letters. It's not like they had a whole lot, because they would put them on horseback, and then they'd have to put their saddlebags on and run through, so it took a lot. And they ran some ads too. Take a look at this ad. This is an actual wording from an ad. Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18, must be expert riders, willing to risk death daily. That's not any fun. Orphans preferred, and wages of a priestly sum at that time, $25 a week, and apply at the Central Overland Express. So they put those ads out, and they were able to get some people coming in. Matter of fact, here's one of the first guys that did that. That young man was a young, skinny, wiry feller that would risk a lot, risking his life daily, so that he could make the priestly sum of $25 a week, which I'm thinking back then was a lot of money for what they did. And they were able to do that. So what they did is quite a bit. The Pony Express has a lot of features about it that can teach you and me lessons as entrepreneurs. Like, for instance, we know that it took from 10 days to get from St. Joe, Missouri to San Francisco, California. That's where they went. They went out there, San Francisco and Sacramento, going to both those places, and they were able to do it. And that was record time then. And they were changing riders along the way. So it wasn't just one or two. But here's the real shocker. Pony Express only existed from April 3rd, 1860 to October 24th, 1861, about 18 months or so, which is not long. We think of the Pony Express as going for a much longer time. But you see, it was displaced. And what was it that displaced that can teach us some lessons today? Well, the Pony Express was replaced by, guess what? That's right, the telegraph. Now, the telegraph existed. It was invented in 1853 by Samuel Morse, but it had not made their strides and not accepted as much. And they didn't have it from St. Joe out to San Francisco. So what they did is, with the telegraph, they were able to obviously put them out of business. Now, think about it. Suppose you were one of those young, skinny, wiry people, and you were learning, you had learned how to ride that horse and really go for it. You were making the money, and it was going to be really good, all of that, and then it's gone. Well, they adapted, because you see, this is the way it works through history. We saw that we had the telegraph, and then that was replaced very soon afterwards by what? Yep, you guessed it, by the telephone. And the telephone, even better than the telegraph, although they continued to use the telegraph. It was used for quite a few pieces of business information and technology, getting back and forth, relating to people. And then they started making the telephone even bigger, making the telephone even bigger part of our lives and what it would do and the way it grew. And then you needed a switchboard. Well, a job was created here that didn't exist before. Jobs are created and dissolved throughout history. That's an important lesson. Keep in mind that you as an entrepreneur are out there on the cutting edge. You want to see, okay, what's going on right now that's working and what is not? How are we going to be able to do this? Now, today, of course, we don't have those telephones. We have something else. That's right. We've got phones that we're using, our cell phones. Let me get out of my way here. I'm getting in my own way there, right? Like that. So we're getting our own cell phones, and now we've got it. But think about it. With that cell phone that you have in your hand, you have access to the information in the world more than the President of the United States did just a few years ago. And now you can do that. But we've got to keep adapting and changing. That is the key. I like the way that Teddy Roosevelt said it when he said, do what you can with what you've got right where you are. It's easy to say, boy, I sure wish I had such and such, or I wish I had it a little bit better on that. Well, you don't have that. What you do have, though, is the ability to adapt and to change and to get up there. But you see, you got to do it. You've got to put in the reps. You've got to do those reps and get out there and actually do the work. Without doing that work, it's not going to happen, and you've got to put those push-ups in, even when, and I would say especially when, you know you need to do it, you should be doing it, and you just stop doing it. And so what you want to do is to build that discipline into you. Learn from the Pony Express, how they were able to adapt and adjust. They did something that was pretty incredible for that time, and then it was displaced by technology. You get out there as an entrepreneur, as an agorapreneur, and think of how you can change, how you can get ahead, and how you can make it in this world, whatever happens, because that is how we're going to do it. Hey, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a note. My email is terry@terrybrock.com, and I always look forward to hearing from folks that have questions about how we can help you, what we can do to make your life a lot better. And I'll look forward to seeing you again. Thank you very much for joining us today here on Agorapreneurs. We're all about your freedom, liberty, and being the entrepreneur that you are, reaching out to achieve the goals that you want. Whether you're an entrepreneur on your own or maybe operating within another enterprise or organization, whether you're a solopreneur or part of a much larger enterprise, we are here for you to help you get the skills and the technology, the right thinking of mind, right frame of mind, how to increase your connections, building those relationships in business that matter. Don't forget, we've got the 5K program, help you in creating content, no charge to you. You go over and you can look at that at terrybrock.com/5K. Notice the K is lowercase, and you'll be able to get that information, no charge, and you'll also be able to sign up for the newsletter that we send out, the Agorapreneurs Power Report, so you stay right up to date on what's going on. And if you need to reach me, my email is best way to get in touch with me, terry@terrybrock.com. Hey, thanks for being with me today. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.